we are looking at values clarification and moral dilemmas, an important part of helping to develop students' moral reasoning and helping them to develop the ability to elucidate their own values. Teaching moral reasoning and teaching values, these are complementary things. And traditionally, people have criticized moral dilemmas and values clarification, saying, well, anything is right. There's no right or wrong. Yes, there is right and wrong. However, often right and wrong, right is the greatest good for the greatest number of people. It's not a mathematical formula. If it were, computers would be able to decide the great moral questions of the day. A moral dilemma. Students are given a real-life situation with a dilemma or a problem, something that they must make a decision on. Students are put into groups of 2 to 5, and their job is to come to a consensus. Now, their answer is not important at all. It's the reasoning that goes with it, and you don't try to lead them to a predetermined conclusion. As a teacher, you want to be as unobtrusive as possible. You can kind of float and listen, but you don't want to jump into that alien culture. You don't want to correct or evaluate or give the final word. Oh, that's nice you thought that, but this is what you should have thought. You do not want to lead your students toward a predetermined choice or response. This is propaganda or brainwashing, and there is a right or wrong. If they come up with an answer that is harmful to self or others, well, then you would help them reason morally about that. As a classroom teacher in a public school, you must respect all parents' values when you do this. Let's say you have a strong pro-life decision, and one of the values clarification is related to pro-choice, all right? Even though you may not respect that value or have that value, you must respect people's ability to choose that value, and that gets a little sticky. Here are some examples of moral dilemmas. You can press in moral dilemmas in your Google Net machine, and you come up with a whole bunch of these things. I also like to create moral dilemmas based on what I see in the classroom. I find Dear Abby and some of these other advice columns wonderful places to develop, to find moral dilemmas. And again, the answer is not as important as the moral reasoning. And to make this a literacy activity, students may come up with a consensus in a small group, but then I have them individually tell me what you think in their journal. Values clarification is any activity that helps students identify, analyze, and elucidate their values. A value is something that they hold of worth or import. Usually has students defining, listing, ranking, rating things that they value. It could be a trait, it could be a person or people, experiences, or things. And again, this is not a values-free activity. This does not say that there is no right or wrong, all right? When students are able to internalize their values, these are much more important than externalized mandates. You must behave this way. No, if you hold this value, if you value this trait, this compassion, you are more likely to behave or not behave in certain ways. Values clarification usually involves some of these, and they're similar to moral dilemmas, but you'll see the difference. Discussion and sharing. Students are free to make choices. Students' ideas are respected. The teacher does not correct, evaluate, or validate. And there is discussion and sharing. I said that twice in large group. Here's an example. List three traits that you believe are important for a special ed teacher. All right? They're identifying. They're moving into small group. They're coming to consensus. List 5 important events in your life. Move into small group. Look for patterns. Move events into categories. Create a table. All right? They're listing events that they find or found of value or importance. And again, you can put in values clarification activities in the Google Net machine, and you'll come up with some of these.